Hey guys, and welcome to Beating the Press podcast, your weekly podcast where we talk all things football. Today we're continuing our journey through the European Championships and we are reviewing Euro 2016, which was held in France. So you'll have been glad when you saw the the results that came. So as you can see, I've went crazy with the pen today. We've
GCSE working well now.
For those of you that are listening, we've got Wales reaching the quarters via an own goal against Northern Ireland. We've got Ty's team, Bonucci, squeezing in a goal against Spain, I think it was, knocking Spain out. And obviously England humiliated by the quite brilliant Iceland and their fans. Ty, your thoughts on the round of 16?
Yeah, so Andy might have different recollection of this, but I remember the Wales-Northern Ireland game and I thought Northern Ireland were the better team and they were unlucky to go out in that game. Italy game, that's not against, they did knock Spain out, but that was against Germany and Bonucci scoring. I think was that Chiellini or Bonucci? Bonucci scored a penalty against Spain later on and he went to penalties against Germany and knocked out on penalties again. I know, Simpson, we spoke about in the previous episodes about who's more unlucky, Italy or England. It is Italy, because they just get knocked out on penalties every time they play. Seem to play anyway. But that was against Germany. They got knocked out on penalties. The England-Iceland game, looking back now, I'm still... It's looking back, England froze. That was what happened. The players just froze, and there's nothing else. And then it was the management froze as well. Right, Roy Hodgson froze. I remember he took Gary Neville as well. As well as his talks and his fancy on Sky Sports. That just showed when it comes to absolute the pressure moments, people can freeze. And he's done it obviously at Valencia. It's not Gary Neville did this or anything, but the whole team froze, and there was only one player that seemed to be free, and that was Marcus Rashford. I remember when he came on, he was the only one who had any intention. He played. And he showed the gulfing class between both nations. He was getting the ball going past three players, and he only brought him on with about 20 minutes to go or something. And I was like, what are you doing, Joe? Just look at this kid. And Joe Hart made a mistake for one of the goals as well. And he obviously made a mistake against Wales as well. He made quite a few mistakes in that tournament. And he's very sort of arrogant as Joe Hart, and which is good. You need that to be as a goalkeeper. But his mistakes did cost him, and then the whole performance obviously killed him. But I've got two lasting memories from that tournament. One was obviously Wales' unbelievable performance. The second was the Icelandic clap. Yeah. And for about 2 weeks afterwards, I was just practicing it with my team every training session. And we could not nail it. We couldn't get the timing right. So, yeah, that's something I'm still practicing.
There's certain things that you remember. You remember exactly where you were in life, and I can almost guarantee you can all remember where you were when Iceland beat us. I was in, I think it was in Salou in Spain. Classy holiday. He's talking about lawns and places like that. I was in.
I was in Ibiza.
I was booked to go to Salou before the pandemic hit. So you're all right.
Yes. So yeah, I was in Salou, and I just remember it's one of the few games when the missus actually comes and watches it with you, because you're in the foyer with everybody there, and she's like, oh, you know what, I'm going to watch some football. And she sat next to me and she's just not looking at the screen. She's just like looking at her nails and stuff like that.
Get away, you're a bad luck charm.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just getting madder and madder throughout the game.
Yeah.
And it's getting to the point where she's asking me what the score is. And I'm like, look at it.
Do you get 2 points for a goal? That kind of thing,
yeah. Why are you getting angry? And in the end, she ended up leaving early because she could see I was getting more infuriated. Afterwards, I had to make up for it a little bit. But yeah.
I watched it in O2 Academy in Leeds. My girlfriend sort of likes football as well. So she was like, I want to go and watch an England game. Let's go and watch the England game in Academy. And I was like, yeah, sure, fine, we'll go. And I went and I got this sort of an old, like, retro Wales shirt. And I was like, you know what, people probably come up and sort of go, oh, well done, and be that kind of like pally sort of thing. And it was. And then as that game went on, and you talk about, did you ever feel a little bit kind of intimidated or anything like that when it was Wales England out in Lons? No, but in Academy, when England were losing and then ultimately lost, and there was a lot of ill feeling. I remember, ironically, it was a group of girls looking across, and I was like, they're going to batter me. So I zipped my jacket up, and then we obviously walked out, and I remember walking through the streets of Leeds. There are bollards getting thrown up in the air, not in my direction, but up, up in the air, and all that sort of thing. It was, but Ty, you nailed it. I remember once it went 2-1 down, they were just crippled by anxiety or fear of knowing what was coming if it stayed at 2-1. And it was, they never looked like, I don't think, also, like you say, apart from when Rashford got on the ball, like creating anything to get back in the game. It was just a slow death after it went to 2-1, I think, wasn't it?
Was this the game where Joe Hart kicked the bollards and the advertising boards, and he was screaming at the crowd to give me the ball back? Because it rings a bell, and that just goes to show, like, completely losing the head. Well, Joe Hart could have been just about any game.
I think it was an Iceland supermarket board, that's why. But I think the only conclusion is that we don't take our missus to the game, because my missus was there as well. I was in Ibiza with the kids and everything. And I was there for 2 weeks, the whole 2 weeks, nothing but English people, Geordies, Scousers, all there, As soon as that game kicked off, full of Germans and Scotch people. I was the only Englishman. I was like, what the hell's going on here? And I remember my little one was like 1 year old in the pushchair, just like, let me go to bed. I was like, no, we're staying. And that was it. And the bedtime story that night was like, look, England are crap. She cried herself to sleep.
It's like the population of Iceland, something like 300,000 or something ridiculous.
Yeah, that is the maddest thing.
They reckon 30,000 were out there for the tournament. And again, listening to another podcast, not about Welsh football, not just literally listening about Welsh football. They're talking about your chances of playing football for your country is based on the population. I think they worked out that if you are between the ages of 18 and 35 in Iceland, general football player age, you've got a 1 in 20 chance of playing for Iceland. Because of like you say, that's the age you're going to be if you're playing, and the population, that is your chances of playing. That's just. I'm
sure there's a game where Ida Johnson played with his dad up front when he was like 17. No,
you're right. He did. Yeah, I remember
his dad was
that.
like 42, straight back from work, goat herding or some crap, and then Ida Johnson straight from his sixth form. They played together in a qualifier.
If I wasn't co-hosting this podcast, I'd have walked off by now. Who then starts? It's so.
I only heard that a couple of days ago as well. But
20. Wow, 1 in 20.
That's mad, that.
But then it's just, they've obviously beaten them. I don't know, they've increased the number of teams to the top, but for Iceland just to get there, and I feel that's it's a bit, I don't know, you take the piss a bit when you say that to country, and I think it's a bit derogatory at times, but for them just to get there with the population and the players they had, that was a golden generation for Iceland. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, there's some solid players.
And then, we obviously got Gylfi Sigurdsson, who's still about. There's still some other good players. They had the Cardiff City midfield. I can't remember his name.
Ask Allardyce. Allardyce signed all of them, I think.
Yeah, he probably did. But they were just, well and truly overachieved massively. And for them, beating England was winning the European Championships. I know that sounds I hate cliches on this podcast, but it pretty much was for them, beating England, that's their European Championships.
Just a quick thought on that, Ty. They increased it obviously from 16 to 24 teams. It seemed like this tournament was the perfect example of why it was a good idea. Is it something that you're in favour of?
It dilutes the quality, and there's no nice way of putting that. You're not going to get your Northern Irelands and Icelands and Hungaries getting there. I always found, before the turn 24, I always said winning the European Championships is harder to win than the World Cup, just because there was more quality. In World Cup, you got more teams, you got a lot more shitter teams.
Yeah.
And with it 24, obviously recently European Super League's been bandied about, and it's all about money. They've increased the numbers for money as well. There's nothing else, more games, more broadcasting rights, and all that shit, more sponsorship. So that hypocrisy, we spoke about in the previous episode. It just seems to, So in summary, you've diluted the quality of the tournament. Am I happy with it? Yes, because it means there's more football on and I can watch it during the summer, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and also just your quick thoughts before we move on. Obviously, your beloved Italy beat Spain, which would obviously be a massive win at the time. Did you have any confidence going on in the tournament to doing something big?
I was fuming that we got Spain in the first round, and as it worked out, because Spain, because we're sort of expecting Croatia, and I was like, oh, I've got Spain now. Do you know, you always sort of, because you're thinking, right, this team wins, and you sort of plan your route through. And it was one of those. I've always said, even the last tournament, I think, it was 2014, was it? Yeah, 2012. Sorry, when Spain beat Italy 4-0 in the final. So there was obviously a bit of that back there, but there was always going to be a tight game. And then when they did go through, I thought, and that was the sort of, like I said, the decline of the great Spain team.
Yeah. So obviously we lose 3 of the 4 home nations, and we move on to the quarterfinals. For those that are listening, I've got an image of Robson Kanu's quite ridiculous goal against Belgium. Somehow 1-3-1. And the Germans progress after a penalty shootout. I've got an image of the Germans celebrating, and Ty's probably going to break down when he sees the image of Buffon crying. Simpson, your memories of that Robson Kanu moment. I'm going to go to Andy last, because this is probably one of the biggest moments.
If he didn't scream out Jason Derulo while I did that at the same time, I don't know what's going on. I mean, that was... He discombobulated them brothers. Honestly, I've never done anything like it in my life. It was brilliant. I remember I was still out in Spain watching that, and I was supporting Wales that game. I was like, it was brilliant to watch.
Give you a whiplash.
Honestly, it was a 360 spin move. I mean, I've not seen anything like that since Street Fighter 2 with Ken. You know what I mean? It was brilliant. I loved it. And but like Ty was saying, like, I think it was good having these extra teams in there. Yes, it dilutes the quality a little bit. But I think UEFA did it to keep them, other nations, no disrespect, and to keep them interested. Because I think, why do we keep going through these qualifiers? Same teams go through it. And I think, to be honest, it creates moments like that. And it did. And for me, I think they should continue doing it. Because you will get stuff like that, where like teams will arrogantly play against another team and think, I don't know who this guy is. This guy doesn't have a club. You know what I mean? Has he got boots on? And then he does something like that to say, look, F you, I can do these things. And that, to me, it was brilliant, especially against Belgium, who had Hazard, Lukaku, De Bruyne, do you know what I mean? Witsel. And then Wales just battered them. It was brilliant. It was awesome.
You made a really good point there. Like, obviously, far from me to question Belgium's preparation or anything like that. But in reality, you do have that element of arrogance where who on their team is really, going to know that Robson Kanu was maybe left-footed, for example, and able to do that kind of skill in the box. Maybe that's something that they overlooked, but he definitely done me. He definitely done me.
I don't know, Chris. You're talking about, I think the analysis team and the scouting team will know that. They'll know that on everyone. Nowadays, I mean, maybe 30 years ago they probably wouldn't, but now I think they'd all know what foot a player is and how they play. Do you know what I mean? So I think
before he done that, would you think he could have done that?
Exactly. No one would have
known. No, but listen to me. That's the one time he's going to do that in his life. He didn't know he was going to do it. So
he looked surprised.
But I want to know about the actual Howard plays, and they would have watched video clips of them. You know what I mean? So there would have been some scouting done around.
The amount of Welsh ladies pregnant that night was unreal. The nation doubled in one night.
I know what you mean about sort of a top nation playing, I'm going to say about a small nation, which is minnow then. But I think the previous 2 qualifiers, both the Euros and the World Cup, we had Belgium in our group. Belgium won our group, but we beat them in Cardiff, 1-0. I bet you can't guess who scored. And we went out and, classic kind of rearguard action in Brussels and got a 0-0. So they knew what we were all about. But we also went in, I think in those 4 games we played in the qualifiers, I don't think they beat us. I think we got 3 draws and a win, I think. So they definitely didn't underestimate us. I remember they came out flying, it felt like. There was like a goalmouth scramble where Hennessy made a couple of saves, and then there was one blocked and it went off the line. And you just felt a goal was coming, and then Nangland scored. How it didn't, I watched the top 10 goals of the tournament, and how it wasn't in that, because it was an absolute rocket. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But we kept playing, and like you say, we played them off the park. We were knocking the ball around. When the goal came, it came from a set piece. It had been coming. We were creating chances, and we thoroughly deserved to beat them, I think. And it was probably the Belgium then of, while they're not the team they are now, certainly both individuals, but they also didn't have that organisation that Martinez has brought to them. But I don't think their downfall would have been underestimating us, if I'm being honest.
Ty,
Sorry,
Ty. I just want to ask you and Simpson. I remember I was going crazy when Wales scored because I was surrounded by a load of Welsh people on holiday at the time, so I was loving it. I was like an honorary Welsh person for the day. Were you guys celebrating, happy for Wales?
So you guys obviously talked about where you were when England got knocked out. I was up in Redcar when this game went on.
Oh God, of all places!
I know.
Salute Lawns, Redcar.
But I'll give you a bit of the background to it. So I was there for you. You might know him. You know Chris Brett's wedding. Yeah. So I was there for his wedding, and I was in a hotel. So I managed to watch the Wales game the night before. I think it was in a hotel, and then the Italy game. It was on his wedding night. And he obviously had his first dance, and I've got to be there. And the Italy game had kicked off. I'm like, fuck me, how long is it going to take for this? But I couldn't leave. And as soon as it started and finished, I was gone. And I was there.
That's the second time that's happened. I remember my friend getting married in Yorkshire, and Inter Milan were in the Champions League final. You fucked off halfway through to watch that as well.
Yeah, it was.
You were getting married on Champions League final day. You've got a fucking theme going on here with you with that.
So I went down. I remember watching that downstairs in the foyer. Yeah, I can't remember your exact question, Chris, but yeah, that's what I watched for.
Did you celebrate? Did you celebrate the Welsh goal? Were you happy for Wales?
Yeah, massively. I was a huge Welsh. I mean, I really wanted him to do well. Because obviously, huge fan of Wales, Gareth Bale, and you just want the underdog to do well, and it was just that. And I was buzzing when they went through. When they beat Belgium, I actually believed they'd win it. I was like, Belgium are like one of the best teams in the world. If they could beat Belgium, they could beat anyone.
They didn't just beat them though; they battered them, and that's a thing. Momentum in these tournaments is absolutely massive. Andy, just. Where were you?
Well, and I've gone. I was in Bordeaux, I was in Paris, I was in Lons. I was in, when I was at uni, it was the Sports Caf bar in Leeds. Okay. I don't know what it is now. It seems to change every couple of years. But I was there with a lad that I live with, and I remember him saying, after 20 minutes, we 1-0 down. He's like, "You're playing well here," and you're like, "You do want to go?" I was like, "Yeah, we're doing all right." But look at the quality they've got. Yeah. The goal. I think regardless of who you support, it's one of those moments where you just sort of go, whoever does it, whatever club international, it just sort of takes your breath away, isn't it? I remember the ball getting clipped into him from Ramsey, and Neil Taylor, who I said, he had a quarter made a brilliant save from him in the first half. You can just see him in the picture. He was in acres of space, and you're like, lay it off to him. He's got to lay it off to him. And obviously the defenders were thinking that. Does a Cruyff turn, straight from the level 1 coaching drills, Cruyff turns, sends them and not buries it past him. I remember there was almost a pause. I was like, that can't have just happened. It wasn't an instant, genuinely. There wasn't an instant kind of like, yes, it just sort of looked at me. I was like, has he really just done that? And it was like, and people I don't know. I was looking, was it an offside flag? I was like, can't be offside. He can't have just done that. And then, just went, crazy. And then that goal was fantastic. I think Sam Vokes' header for the third goal. What a header. Get across at the near post. There's, again, the Don't Take Me Home documentary that they did. And Chris Coleman's talking about it, and there's a camera on him. Chris Gunter gets the ball. It's like the 87th minute. We're under the cosh. Chris Coleman, clear as day, can hear him or see him go, "Don't you cross that fucking ball, Christopher." And then Gunter, who, absolute stalwart of the Welsh team, cult hero, but he's not renowned for sticking great crosses in, puts it on Vokes' head, gets across the front post, heads it into the far top corner past a goalkeeper who's about 7'3" at full stretch. And I just launched myself. I was about 10 or 12 feet away from the big screen, hurdled between two people who were just sat in sort of lazy chairs, was at the front of the screen, in front of the screen, giving it this front of everyone. And oh man, I just walked around in a daze for the rest of the night then. It was just, one of those where you go, that first 10 minutes thought we've reached our level here. Belgium aren't going to underestimate us. We've found our level, and, we've had a good time. And to then turn it around and put in a performance like that, wow.
When did you believe that you were going to win that game? Was it as the moment that the third one went in?
Yeah, genuinely. And Ty said to me, we normally watch the tournament highlights, but you probably won't need to. But I was like, I might as well. And there's the that Robson Kanu goal still now, and I'm God knows how many times I've watched it, still gives me that kind of like buzz of, excitement of celebrating the goal all over again. And then I watched the commentary, and it was I think it was Peter Drury and Craig Bellamy. And Craig Bellamy's reaction rivals Gary Neville's when Torres goes round whoever it was in the new camp.
Yeah.
And it's just the words coming out of Wales, football and history going into the semi-finals, and you just can't. It's just, yeah. So until when I thought we'd won it, it was when it went to 3-1, and I think we just had five minutes of just like, this is soak it in. The closest we came to that was probably we had a few moments like that. The last half an hour against Russia when we were 3-0 up, and then the half time against England when we were 1-0 up was euphoria in the stands, and then crushing disappointment for about an hour later.
So the other quarterfinals, we've got Portugal went through against Poland on penalties. We've also got France who hammered Iceland 5-2. It kind of gives you a little bit of a sense of satisfaction to know that we were going to get hammered anyway. And the last one, I'll let Ty take over on this one.
So obviously Italy doing what Italy do and losing on penalties. I remember Ozil had scored for Germany, and then Italy. It was because I said it wasn't a great Italian team. They had Graziano Pelle, from Southampton days. They had Gaccarini from Sunderland days. Do you know what I mean? They still had Bonucci and Buffon. So it was like scattered with brilliant players. But Conte had an idea of we're going to play 3-5-2, and we're going to get the players to play in that system, as opposed to the way just picking the best players. So that's the way we're going to play. We got a penalty late on in the game, and Bonucci stepped up, scored, and then obviously
Why Bonucci? Sorry,
because he was the best penalty taker they had. I mean, Pelle's not a particularly great penalty. They had Eder as well, not the Portuguese one, obviously. And so it was just the quality that they had. They didn't. They lost to Germany, and you could argue either way. Germany probably edged it. Looking back now, obviously in the moment you're thinking, you're the better team. But no, looking back, Germany probably edged it the right team, and that was where they got. But I firmly believe if they beat Germany, they would have gone on to win it. Because whoever they played next, I think they would have beat anyway. But it's never nice. And I was at a wedding, and I didn't really want to be there, but I was.
Penalty shootout was incredible, and I didn't recall that game, and it was just like we talk about Italy not having a good penalty taker in their strikers. Was it I'll say Zaha, but I probably got that wrong.
Zaza.
Yeah.
He was the one who did a million step, didn't he?
Yeah.
And there was like memes recreated in the back of that as well.
Of all the things that could happen in the time it takes him to take it on up for a penalty.
So you think they would have beaten France or Portugal then if they'd have gone through?
Yeah, momentum's huge in tournaments. I always feel Germany are a better tournament team than France. I know it didn't work out as it did, but
I suppose after you've beaten Spain and Germany, you probably would think.
Yeah, and that's what it was. It's not.
But France looked good then, didn't they? Though France winning 5-2 was a bit of a obviously Iceland. Going freely.
Yeah, and then obviously we'll talk about the final in a bit, but it just shows where France were, when they got to the final. And pressure's a big thing. England team obviously froze against Iceland, and it's, we talk about you can do all the preparation you want in the world and how you want to play, but in those key moments, that's what makes champions. Spain obviously had it for years where they kept on fucking up. They got there and they bottled it. We can call it whatever you want, bottling it, not mentally strong enough, whatever you want to call it, but there's obviously a massive barrier there.
Yeah. But to counter that, France, obviously the pressure being home nation, but would the pressure be on Italy for losing the previous final then be on them?
No, but they've got it's we'll never know. It's we're asking sort of rhetorical. Hindsight is a great thing, we can look back and put whatever we want on there. But no, I just felt that was the toughest game for me. That was our final. I felt if we beat them, we go on, and then we could do it, because that was a really tough game.
Yeah. Just to finish on that, Ty, your memories of Buffon after the game?
It just, in bits, and he didn't deserve that. But just going back on my favourite player, Maldini, he was one that never managed to win a major tournament. So the World Cup 2006, going down back a bit, he'd retired just before, and he just felt Buffon, could we get him? Another one, but it wasn't to be.
I do believe that this was Pirlo's last major tournament as well. So lost quite a few players. Prior to this tournament. So on to the big one. Andy, actually, I'll go to Simpson first. Simpson, are you confident that Wales could go any further?
I was hoping they did. And to be fair, like I said, I wants to beat Belgium. I was thinking they could do. But I think, again, just my general... I'm a fan of Ronaldo now, but back then I didn't like him. I didn't like him at all. He was an ex-Man United player. I think he's at Real Madrid then. But again, we talked about the Euros last time, and the kind of arrogance. He thought he should have won it last time. Yeah. And he still had that. I mean, there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance, and he is an amazing player, go down one of the greatest of all time, and you need that. But that's the reason I've always sided more with Messi a little bit more, just because I think he has a sense of entitlement. And yeah, he's worked hard and he deserves everything he's got. But sometimes he just feels like he feels like he should have got more when really, sometimes the teams are better than you. Sometimes somebody's played better than you. And there was just a sense of arrogance with him. And the Welsh team, again, it was just the pride at the fact that they've done it as a team. Whereas Ronaldo looked like he was carrying that team a little bit, to be fair. Now he popped up with a few goals. And again, we've got Sanchez in there who played really well. He's got a brilliant left footer in there. But again, you're looking at Fonte, Bruno Alves at the back. I thought, to be fair, Wales could get at these and Wales could beat them. They really could. So I was a little bit disappointed, to be honest, that they got beat, but still proud of how far they've got. I mean, for you, Andy, just a quick question. Was it heartbreaking or was it still pride at the end? Just because you got that close. England got close a few years ago against Croatia. Yeah. It was a mixture of both for me for that. What was it like for you?
It was, yeah. It was heartbreaking because I'll be very surprised if we ever get a chance like that again. And, like you said, Portugal, this is the only game they won in 90 minutes in the entire tournament. And I've watched that Belgian game so many times back and the highlights. I've certainly not watched the highlights of this, but the first half, there wasn't much in it in terms of chances and things like that. And then you mentioned Ronaldo and Messi then. I think I would pay to go and watch Lionel Messi if I had to pick. But if I had to pick a player to win a game for me, I'd put Ronaldo in my team. And James Collins has spoken about the corner that he scored from. And the corner came in, I'm thinking, that's sailing that over the back post. And he said, I turned round and he went, Ronaldo's sort of ankles were round about James Chester's shoulder. And I watched it and the way he just hung there. The only player I could think that reminded me of the way he hung in the air. This is going back a bit, but you'll definitely remember it was Les Ferdinand. I don't know why. That way of being able to leap and hold, and then the power of the header was unbelievable. I think given what we've done in the Belgian game, we probably thought we probably could still get back into this. And 2 or 3 minutes later, quite a scruffy goal. I think Ronaldo had a shot, and Nani stuck his foot out, and it kind of went in, and then it just drained us. I think that, and like you say, that we looked like we'd reached our end. I think the big thing, you look at the lineup there, and I certainly had forgotten, but Ramsey picked up a booking in the semi-final, and so did Ben Davies. And when you talk about our first 11 could compete and do it, it's always going to be that what if. Andy King, good goal scoring midfielder in the Championship and was part of Leicester's, I think he's part of the title winning squad. But he's not in the same vein as Ramsey. He'll get in the box and might get on the end of something. And similarly, Ben Davies was such a consistent performer, decent on the ball coming out of the back. And James Collins did well, but I think particularly Ramsey, that was just such a massive loss. And
remember what the yellow card was for?
Just
was it an innocuous one?
Yeah, I think Joe Ledley sold him a bit short with a pass against, and the guy got nipped in before him, and he stuck his arm out to stop him, and he wasn't through on goal, but he just stuck his arm out, pulled him back, and the referee just went straight away. It was quite early in the game as well. It was some referees might have let it go, but I remember his reaction and Ben Davies' reaction at the full time. They were obviously delighted that we got through. But I think they were both sort of teary that was it. They know that unless we got to the final, that was it for them. But when you've got someone like Bale and Ramsey, you give oppositions 2 players to think about. You take one of those out of the team as an attacking threat, you can put all your eggs in one basket, can you? And we keep Bale quiet. The rest of them have not really got anything to hurt us. And so it proved. But
Yeah, and you thought like Wales deserved it really more. Like over the top, like you say, Portugal drew 3 games, only won the one in 90 minutes. Everyone was extra time. Going into that, I remember thinking Wales deserve it. I know you have to earn it, but they deserve to be in the final rather than Portugal. That's what my other thought was as well, other than Ronaldo just being selfish.
I remember the game, and it was just a really bad 5 minutes from Wales, and that's what cost them the game. There was nothing in it, and I thought, it reminded me of the Wales Northern Ireland game with just 5 minutes of where sort of Wales switched off, and Wales beat a better team in Belgium, and I think you're right. The Aaron Ramsey booking was really costly, and we talk about Portugal. Portugal were really defensively strong, and they based their team on that, and obviously showed with the results they had because they didn't win any 90-minute games up until that one. So yeah, I think it's one of those, and I'd imagine England in the Croatia game, it's like we could have got to the final, and I'd imagine that's the same sort of feeling with the Welsh fans as well.
Just your thoughts, Andy, on the Welsh squad going ahead, particularly this tournament coming up. How does it compare to the squad of 2016?
Certainly more depth, certainly more attacking options. You knew that it was going to be Bale. It still will be Bale, and Ramsey will be sort of the spearhead in the attack, but the options around them are far stronger. David Brooks, I think, is a Premier League player if he can stay fit. I think Daniel James provides us with a threat with his pace. We talk about players rising to a level he didn't think they had it in them when they come and play international football and play with better players around them. Kiefer Moore has been an absolute, him coming into the team for the last Euros was sort of a pivotal part of us ultimately qualifying. Defensively, we've not got that same solidity. You can probably get at us a bit more. I think, that centre-back partnership of, Williams, Davis and Chester was really, it'd been together for a long time. So Joe Rodon, I think, will go on to be a top Premier League centre-half. It's who you partner with him, to play someone like Ampadu. So there's to have young players getting tournament experience. And I'm not talking about we're going to go on and then in a couple of tournaments' time win it. But for them to get to experience that should give us more in terms of then going on to qualify for more, and that is an achievement for us. If we qualify, that is the achievement. Everything else from then on is a bonus, and getting to experience that as fans and players is what we want. But tough group. Turkey, they hammered someone in the recent World Cup qualifiers, a top team, didn't they? I think.
Yeah, you're right. I remember the Liverpool centre half were playing as well. You did. Was it Spain? It was one of the big ones. No, it's Holland. They beat Holland, didn't they?
Yeah. So obviously Italy, who were, perhaps from this tournament, then sort of went through. They didn't qualify for the next World Cup, did they? Italy, is that right? In 2018, were they there? Don't think Italy.
No, they wouldn't. You're right. Yeah, they didn't qualify. They didn't make that one. Yeah.
But they seem to be on the kind of some sort of, so Italy, and albeit with not many fans in Rome, it's going to be tough to get out of that group in the same way it was before, certainly as group winners. But who knows, we might draw 3 games and get through. But in terms of, I had a ticket to be in Rome for Wales, Italy, in Rome. And obviously that hasn't happened. But one of the most memorable things from the whole tournament was the national anthem in Bordeaux. That, that was, the ground was 3/4 full of Welsh people. We'd waited so long, and that was just that outpouring through the anthem. There were people, grown, men in their 40s and 50s hugging each other in the sort of the concourses and in the stands after the anthem in tears. And in terms of anthems for passion, imagine listening to the Italian one in Rome as well. It would have been incredible experience, but not to be. But I think the squad is stronger. The team probably isn't as strong.
You mentioned the qualification. You almost didn't make the tournament. Is that right? You lost a game where you should have won, and then it was another team that helped you out. I think
we had. I remember we put 2 games in a summer. So we played Croatia away and lost 2-1 at a ground they've not lost at for like 20 odd years. I think the one that kind of really hurt us, we went to Hungary and lost 1-0. Bale missed a sitter. You know, there were again not much in the game, and that was the kind of the cue, I think, for Giggs to perhaps he was trying to change the style and be more, you know, progressive playing out from the back, but it got us into some more problems than perhaps it kind of chances it created. So that was when he changed and went, you know what, we're going to go a bit more back to front, play off Kiefer more, use him as sort of that target man, and then get the people like Bale and James around him and build off there. And I think we won our last 4 games to qualify, I think, culminating with beating Hungary at home.
Yeah.
But through that qualification, Ramsey only played 1 game. Ramsey only played in the last game and scored. I think he scored both goals. We won 2-0. Joe Allen missed a couple of games. I think Bale might have missed a game or 2. And those 3, when we've got them in, you feel confident we can get a result.
Yeah.
As soon as one of them is missing, you're like, when 2 are missing, you're like, hang on, there's your experience in terms of the midfield and up front, just, you know, it's not there. So, yeah, we probably made harder work of it than we should, given how the top 2 definitely qualify.
Last thing on this before we say goodbye to Wales and move on to the other semi. What was your biggest memory, your best memory of the tournament that you go away remembering?
Gosh, just try and pin it down to one. I think you'd have to pick the Toulouse, the game against Russia. The way we played, you know, there are moments, you know, that, like I said, the anthem in the Bordeaux in the first game was incredible. I'll remember that forever. I think everyone who was there will remember it. The goal for Bale against England, but that last half an hour, you know, we were there. We never qualified in my lifetime. We're half an hour left of the game, or whatever it was, with 2 or 3-0 up, cruising, playing like I've never seen Wales play, popping the ball around for fun. And, you know, it was obviously my last night before I went back. And just that euphoria in the stadium, it was, yeah, an incredible, to be there from all of the kind of, like say, the dark days. It was just, what a night. What an end to 10 days that I'd had out there. It was incredible.
So moving on to the other semi-final, which was actually we don't really even care, so we'll just fly over it. Wales are out now. We kind of lost a little bit of interest, so we'll kind of touch on the French team. Ty, do you want to take us away with what you believe from this French team, and in particular Antoine Griezmann?
Yeah, I mean, I think Griezmann ended up being player of the tournament, if I remember right. And people were I mean, I'm going to mention Giroud because he seems to get so much stick from, and I don't know why Arsenal let him go. He's obviously got to Chelsea, but for France, he's their number 9. He plays him. Do you know what I mean? Didier Deschamps trusts him, plays him. And then you've got obviously Griezmann, brilliant. And then Pogba seems to play a lot better for France than he does for Man United. You look at, I mean, the reason why I say you look at that back line for France, it's not great, you know, and I don't know, no one's selling that to me. That's a great back line. And the midfields it's not a great team. I mean, you can say they got to find it's not a great team, and that's why I still think Germany's team's probably better than the French team. But, you know, France obviously won that one game. And looking back, it was just, you know, a bit of a Griezmann was class, wasn't he?
Yeah, the Germans, you know, thinking that they just won the World Cup, obviously they'd have been very optimistic going into this. You think that they would take that game. Simpson, your thoughts on that semi, Germany and France?
Yeah, I just remember Kimmich being done over big time for some reason. Shocked me massively at right back. I can't remember if it was Sissoko or Payet. It can't be Sissoko, to be fair. Between Payet did him over. But yeah, look at that. You're thinking Germany's going to do what Germany do. They're just going to steamroll, efficiency, do their thing, get through and probably win it again. And, you know what I mean? It's like another summer of like, you know, Germany won again. Yeah. So I was quite surprised, really, to be honest. But obviously the home nation behind them. But yeah, looking at the French team, there isn't much balance there at all. And like I say, Koscielny, I never saw him play a decent game ever at Arsenal, to be fair. Bakary Sagna was on the back end of his career. Mitti's obviously new. Evra's on the back end. Lloris, I've never rated anyway as well. But yeah, Griezmann, obviously, he comes to the summertime. We've seen it. He's had 3 kids on the same freaking day. This guy loves the summertime. You know what I mean? His brother's up for it at that time. And like Ty said, to be fair, like with Giroud, he does get a lot of stick, but he always scores. He does the thing with them. Yeah. So yeah, it surprised me the 2-0 win, to be fair.
One thing I've noticed is Emre Can somehow managed to sneak in there.
Did he play for Turkey as well? Dual nationality. But yeah, that German team's solid though, really, compared to that. I'm surprised. I think they missed maybe turned up arrogant, where Germans normally don't do that. But
yeah. Andy, I've got a dual question for you. Did you kind of switch off after Wales got knocked out? And also, did it give you any kind of satisfaction knowing that you got beat by the eventual winners?
I found it hard to particularly watch the final, because there is that kind of we could have been there kind of thing, and it's just what could have been. But yeah, I suppose it's nice to the only team that beat us. Someone else beat us, but I can't remember who it was. I suppose if you're gonna say you lost to the eventual winners, but we obviously the welcome in France and all that sort of thing, and the atmosphere around the French games was immense as well. So I was quite willing them on. I think you talk about they had the pressure as a home nation. I think the 6 to 12 months before the Euros, there were quite a few terrorist attacks in France. And I certainly remember in Paris, it felt like a city on edge, with, lots of people coming in from different countries. And it felt like, so I think that, trying to do something to bring the nation, heal the nation in a lot of ways, obviously would have weighed quite heavily on them. But in terms of the final, I don't know if you want to move on to, if you want to start talking about the final.
I'm happy to move on to the final.
Yeah, I watched the highlights, and mate Sissoko looked like a midfield powerhouse. Three of the best sort of attempts on goal was Sissoko charging through and hitting ones from range. And I think if you ask any Spurs fan, he can't shoot. And yeah, with that, like you said about Portugal with no shakes, and to think they lost Ronaldo after 15 minutes or whatever it was, to think that they didn't go on and beat that team is quite remarkable.
Wasn't that the summer where he wanted a transfer request from Newcastle? So he was playing out of his bloody skin, and he went to Tottenham, wasn't he? I think he was looking for it. He was playing for Newcastle, and he was like, I think Newcastle were borderline relegation candidates as always. And then he went to Tottenham, and was it 30 or 40 million or something?
That's what players do, isn't it? Yeah.
Somebody should have kept a receipt. Seriously, that's all I'm saying. But we've done it with El Hadji Diouf and all sorts, so I can't really talk with Liverpool, honestly.
Do you know that final? I remember as well. I know you're right. Ronaldo went off injured early doors.
Yeah, player manager, wasn't he?
Yeah, and that I was just going to say that was the one thing that really pissed me off with that. When he's on the sideline, he was pretty much acting like the manager.
But can you name the Portuguese manager though?
Yeah, and no, I can't. That's
I can't either. That's the thing. I can't either. Maybe he was the manager.
No, but if I was the manager, I'd be like, sit your ass down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or go into changing rooms or some shit. And that would just I just felt it was really disrespectful. And he was like saying to the managers and shouting to the players like he was. And then when they won, he sort of stood there and put his arm up like it was him who's done it.
He got a lot of credit for that, He did get a lot of credit, And he's been off injured for for majority of the game. And Ed Ayers come on and scored an absolute world. It's the reason why you've won it. He's not getting any credit. It's all Ronaldo. And it reminded me so much of when Ronaldo did it against Atletico Madrid in the final when Bale did all the work. Ronaldo steps up and takes a penalty, and he gets all the credit. I'm like, you don't fuck all today.
That's what I'm saying. The arrogance of the player. Yeah,
it's like you've not done out, and it just
That manager's now his butler, as far as I know.
He did. There was a video that someone filmed it in the dressing room afterwards, and on the same theme, he was talking about, thank you for what you have done to help me win this. Like it was like the European Championship was some sort of individual award, but I think they sort of said, for players like for Bale and Ronaldo, they never thought they would achieve anything with they always wanted to achieve something with their country.
Yeah. And did Ronaldo get that trophy? Did he get that like statue made of him after this as well?
Probably.
That's the one that was really he got bad. A statue. Yeah. The statue came after that. For him.
And I was wondering, what's going on?
Well, my thing with it, you talk about sort of memories from the final, and as Ty's mentioned a couple of times, I'm a Swansea fan. The talk about golden eras, but a Swansea City player scored the winning goal in a European Championship final, and he played 13 games for us, and he never looked like scoring. so that was kind of one of those sort of surreal moments, and it was not football related. But do you remember all like the moths and stuff on the pitch? Do you remember at the start of the game? You're like, what's that? It's like, is my picture off? And it was just like a swarm of something. And yeah, but anyway, not football related, but just one of the things you remember from the final.
I barely remember anything from that final, but I do remember the moths. I remember the moths. I remember the goal. Just finishing on this, just want to ask Simpson, when Cristiano Ronaldo went off after 15 minutes, do you give them any chance whatsoever?
No, you don't. You don't. And like I say, when Eder scored, it's obviously the end of the world. It's written in the Bible. When he scores, moths will arrive. There's plague of locusts. You know what I mean? It's just, but yeah, when he went off, you think, they're not going to win. Like, France are going to batter him. Even before then, you probably think France are going to win it, to be fair. And then, I don't remember it being a great final. I mean, there's not many amazing finals because of the pressure on them, but that was particularly quite a bad one, to be honest. I don't even the commentator knew the guy's name in the end. He just said, the guy's hit it from distance. And that was it. And it was just, and that was it, really. I just remember thinking, well, that was kind of a dab end to it. Well, it was a decent tournament, really. But after that, I thought, that'll do. put Corey back on.
Brilliant. So these are the top scorers and team of the tournament. Antoine Griezmann finished top with 6 goals. Cristiano Ronaldo with 3. So there's quite a drop off. 6 goals, 2 assists for Griezmann. Ronaldo with 3 goals. Giroud 3 goals. Payet, Bale, Nani, Morata on 3. 9 goal and 2. Perisic on 2, and whatever the last one says. 2. What was that, Ty? That's the one. Yeah. So obviously Griezmann. Ty, did you say Griezmann got player of the tournament?
I believe he did. Yeah, he got player of the tournament. And we'll just go through the team of the tournament as well. So for the listeners, Rui Patricio in goal, back 4 of Kimmich, Boateng, Pepe, Guerrero at left back, midfield 2 of Allen and Cruz, 3 in front of them, Payet, Ramsey, and Griezmann, and Ronaldo up top. Yeah. So we've obviously been doing this for us since Euro 96, but Euro 2000 is the team of the tournament for us across all the Euros. So this is obviously we've got them both up here now. And again, for the listeners, I'll go through the Euro 2000. We've got Toldo in goal, Thuram, Cannavaro, Blanc, and Maldini as the defence. Midfield 4 of Figo, Vieira, Zidane, and Davids, and Totti and Kluivert up front. We always have a question of the day, and today's question of the podcast is, which team is better? So I'll open it up to you guys first, and I'll hold my opinion back. Andy, seeing as you're the guest, I'll pass over to you. Which is the better team?
I just want to preface as well, Andy, and just, bear in mind that this shouldn't influence your decision, but which from the 2016 actually get into the Euro 2000 team?
I mean, I love Joe Allen in particular. I would be hard. I don't think I could make a case for him to oust one of Zidane and Vieira. Look, that team is the absolute god. It's just. Nobody gets in that team. That Euro 2000 team is ridiculous. To think that we've lived through that era of those sort of quality players. No one gets in. No.
I'm so glad you've said that, Andy, because we've been every tournament. We look back at the Euro 2000 team. We're like, nothing's going to beat that. And for you to sort of look at, and that was our expression as well when we were doing the Euro 2000 one.
We just take Toldo out every time, don't we?
I was going to say Toldo's the rogue one in there where you're like, I kind of remember him, but he's not in the
And the thing is, Toldo's the only non-world class / legendary status. Everyone else is, and it was just bonkers.
What gets me is though, why is Bale not in the other one? I'd have even put him in at left back. He played there for a bit. I'd have put him at left back for Guerrero just to get him in there. But Bale should have got him in there surely as well in the Euro 2016 one.
I'm not going to criticise him, but I think he had more influential performances in qualifying. I think he scored against Slovakia, he scored against England, he scored against Russia, and he was our main man. But I think I remember Payet was fantastic in that tournament. Like say Griezmann. I think Ramsey did play better than Bale. Had more.
Cardu for Ronaldo.
Influence. It would be it'd be a tough call, wouldn't it? I remember Payet was the one who crunched Ronaldo to get him off injured. He was.
He stays in my
a renowned hard man. Yeah, I wouldn't. I went out to Madrid to watch Gareth Bale when he was there. But I wouldn't. I couldn't find a place for him in that team as much as I love him. I don't think he wouldn't. Yeah, he might struggle to get, even at his peak, to get in that Euro 2000 team of the tournament.
In the last podcast, I managed to do a little bit of shit stir, and I'm going to try one here between Ty and Simpson. Simpson,
Yes.
just want your opinion. Would Ronaldo make that team, Totti or Kluivert? Does he displace either of those?
Career-wise, yes. Probably Kluivert, but tournament-wise, no.
Yeah, like
no. Kluivert was mint in that tournament. Kluivert, don't get me wrong, was the youngest ever Champions League winner, probably, something like that. Crazy what he won it with Ajax, stuff like that. But career-wise, Ronaldo probably tops them both but in tournament-wise, no, Totti and Kluivert in that tournament were class. They were different class. And like I say, Ronaldo cried his way through it, headed a few shots, then got a trophy that looked like some kind of thing from Heart Attack. You know what I mean? That's it. So for me, nah, I'm going to say no.
Ty?
You're not getting a bite. It's exactly the same. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, like Ronaldo. I mean, obviously he's one of the greats, isn't he? But in that tournament, like you said, he didn't do as much as Totti and Kluivert did in Euro 2000. And I'll keep going back to it. That Euro 2000, those players, those performances, they were played against better teams, less teams, so the quality was higher. You've got, with all due respect to Andy and the Welsh Massive, fuck me, Joe and Ramsey, you're not getting it.
Ronaldo got manager of the tournament, though. Let's be real. The manager of the tournament, Euro 2000, Ronaldo got it in Euro, I think. Yeah. So, well, if Ronaldo was manager of that Euro 2000 team, I
will say one thing, though. The Euro 2016 team of the tournament, it's balanced. And there's been previous team of the tournaments where we've got like 3 left backs. Do you know what I mean? At least they've got players in the right positions or close to the right positions.
Yeah. So as always, we like your comments. We love your subscriptions. We've got 85 strong in the BTP army. So we'd love your opinions down below. Just want to thank Simpson, as always, on these tournaments. This is, in fact, the last Euros up until, obviously, the one that we're currently on. So we'll get Simpson in for a couple of build-up podcasts in the meantime. Also, so just tell everyone where you can find you, Simpson.
Yeah, we're on YouTube doing some PES gaming, Reggae Boy Gaming. Check us out. Approaching 3,000 subscribers now for the Reggae Boy Nation. So yeah, come join in. It's comedy, it's football, all them good things. Me going mad on PlayStation, playing football. So what else would you need? You know what I mean? Leading up to the Euros, beaten by the press, bit of PES, join in both things. Let's get it on.
What else would you want in your life? A grown-ass man playing fucking PlayStation?
Yeah, you know, I'm nearly 40 years old. My wife keeps asking, where the hell are you going to quit? I'm like, never.
You know what? When I saw that Euro 2000 team of the tournament, one of the thoughts that crossed my mind was I thought that would be awesome on Pro Evo that around that time.
Oh. So obviously I'll put Simpson's link in the description. Go and check him out. Obviously a brilliant channel. And lastly, just like to thank Andy. How's it been? Just reliving those moments.
I mean, we can go for another hour if you want, but let's hope I'm back. So I'm back to review the Euro 2020 after we've stormed to another semi-final or gone one better. But yeah, David Brooks, team player of the tournament. Joe Allen rolling back the years. You've got me carried away in the last couple of hours of what to expect now.
And a huge thanks from me as well for turning up. I know we sort of spoke before, and you said, once I start, you're not going to be able to stop me talking. And you're right, we haven't.
We always say, if you manage to actually get this far in the podcast, please click subscribe. You must have enjoyed something about this. So that would be brilliant. So once again, thanks a lot. Is there anything you want to say, Ty, before we wrap things up?
No, just thank you for listening to. If you've not listened to the ones before, we've obviously been doing them since Euro 96. We've done this all in the preparation for Euro 2021. Give us a like, subscribe, any comments, any feedback would be great.
See you later, guys.
See you later, guys.
Cheers.